Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer.
Oh, I know how loud you are. I love you, Steve. Believe me, I'll let you know when to shut up.
You do a great job of that.
By the way, we're live now. Hey, everybody! Nice to see you again. Chris Jordan here with the Dudes and Beer podcast. Welcome to episode, 121, did we decide? I think?
Yes, 121.
Yes, 121 officially. With me, as always, is the stalwart Stephen Bishop,
What's
as
up,
well
guys?
as the more than awesome Julie Connolly.
What up?
And with us tonight are our awesome musical guest, Raul's Royal Foot. Let's go around the table here and introduce ourselves. Tell everybody what your name is and what you do in the band.
I'm the Lord Dread, play guitar.
I'm Clay Daniel. I sing and play guitar.
I'm Dan Ramirez. I play drums most of the time.
Shannon Ryerson. I play bass and sing a little.
Okay. And that's Steve. And then right over there is Julie. So yeah, we've gone all the way around the table.
We forgot the couch.
Big table tonight.
We did forget the couch. We do have our good friend Richard Adams from Breach TV in the house, who happens to be a huge fan of Raul's Royal Foot. So yeah, it's a family affair. Well, let's get into it, guys. Let's start with the name. I'm always huge into how bands got their name. Because y'all kind of have an interesting history behind that. Where does the name Raul's Royal Foot come from?
Well, Chris, I'd love to talk to you about that. But first of all, I would like to back up a little bit and talk about, face page bucket chat. I'm all into that. Like I'm a member. I sign up and I love
face bucket, chat face.
I love to go on there and friend photographs. So I'm really up on y'all young people, what you're young people. So I just want to...
He's what you would say hip, boys and girls.
Hip to the
I'm
leader.
groovy to you young people.
Yeah.
What is a podcast?
Huey Lewis.
Well, Chris, can you tell me what is a podcast?
A podcast is technically kind of like a radio broadcast for the internet.
Where are we at?
So is pod like an acronym? Is it short for a word?
Short for podium.
Yeah.
Podium.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're here. This is the podium.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it originally. If I'm not mistaken, some of the original podcasts started as kind of like TED Talks, things like that, where it was like webcast live events, things like that, where they had certain speakers that were talking about something specific.
I've never questioned.
And
that.
it has
Really
etymology is a great thing. You got to know it.
I'm here to challenge.
And now
it.
it's evolved to the point where we can actively take live chat during the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So anybody that's
have
not
people ask questions live from all over the place,
Hit
from
that text bubble.
Austin to Dallas to Poughkeepsie, if you have people listening there.
I
heard
love
about
you young
that on
people.
an
Yeah.
episode of Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, right?
All right, so
They were doing that podcast.
Clay is all about the young people.
I am. I love your
The
technology.
18 and up young people, just so you all know.
I saw that in some power
Yes, not that
movies.
young.
Let's keep it real.
Raul's
But-
Royal Foot. Yeah. It's Raul's, which was a punk club on Guadalupe.
I knew it.
Yep. Duke's Royal Coach Inn and Club Foot. These were three very prominent clubs back in the late 70s that kind of incubated the punk rock scene in Austin.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the origin of the band name.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's what I love about y'all is y'all do a lot of homage to not only that scene, but to the punk scene in general. I mean, y'all do basically covers. There are quite a few that y'all do. Name a few just so people get an idea of the oeuvre that y'all cover. Because I was pretty impressed with the list that y'all sent me.
Well, yeah, like we do the Skunks, guys, throw in some.
There's more than one
Local
person
band,
in the
Big
studio.
Boys,
Rocky
nice, Dicks, the Explosives.
Dude, these are some good bands. Yeah.
And they're all Texas bands.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
and that's
Texas
the whole
78 to 82 Texas punk and new wave. So it's kind of
very specific criteria.
It is.
But there's a lot in there.
There's a huge amount in there, and that's just it. Like, that is right as the Austin scene as we know it now was really and truly developing.
Dick's had their last show just recently, and that's pretty cool.
Did they?
Yeah.
I did not know that. But it's wild to look back at that stuff because I grew up in Houston in the 80s, and there was a totally different scene going on there punk-wise. That was
the Axiom.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I even remember going and seeing shows at the Abyss and stuff like that.
Well, we do a
before
hate
it was
song.
shut down. Oh yeah, nice, nice. Punk is one of those that it's kind of like bluegrass, where everywhere you go, there's a different flavor to the way it's played. There's a different. Like I lived in the Northeast in Maine for 5 years, and punk up there is different than punk down here. How do you guys define it? What is it that drew y'all to this genre, not just personally, but as a band? Because it is, like you said, not just a pretty specific genre, but a very specific root genre that y'all have chosen to go with the Texas punk bands between that time.
Right. Well, it was my concept. This is Clay Daniel. To come up with a band from that specific time period from Texas. It was just songs that I kind of grew up with coming of age, and just, a couple of years ago, I just came up with the idea, okay, it's going to be Texas punk from 78 to 83 or 82. And I actually, you wanted to get, how the band came to this conclusion, and I just put an ad on Craigslist and said, "Here's the idea. Who's into it? And this isn't going to be a paid gig. It's going to be a love for this music."
Yeah.
But I can go into further detail about how it goes into this specific.
Oh,
thing.
please do. It's all about detail.
Okay, good.
We got nothing but time for detail. Go into detail. We love detail.
I brought I brought some tickets of bands that I saw. I grew up in Dallas.
Dude.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it really started out
with Kansas.
Oh my God! I didn't bring my readers. This might be a little bit of a challenge.
We need
without my
That's so punk.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Okay, so
that's the thing. That everyone grew up, at least our age, with the arena rock.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that it's kind of those deals where all of a sudden it changes. I don't know whether it's the scene or people or somebody's older brother plays this record. What the hell is this? It's awesome. But totally with him in Dallas. I mean, I didn't see a punk show till I was in college.
Yeah.
But let's start from like the early days of being exposed to live music.
Yeah.
For me, when I was 15 and 16 years old, I went to go see bands like Rush.
Yeah.
And this was 1979.
Nice.
Tarrant County Convention Center.
Yeah.
Kiss, 1979.
That would have been the Power Windows tour.
Ted Nugent.
Hell yeah.
I've worked Ted.
Blue
I've worked
Oyster
Rush.
Cult, who
Nice.
just played.
So they did.
Yeah, they just played.
These
ELO.
are ticket
Yeah.
stubs. just
Rush,
so y'all
Boston,
I was about to put a picture
Boston.
up.
Yeah.
These were Aerosmith.
See some Sammy Hagar, some Smith.
I've seen me some
Exactly.
Aerosmith.
Yeah.
So as a very young teenager, I was like really into this arena rock.
Yeah.
I'd go to Tarrant County Convention Center, drive from Dallas, have somebody's parent drive us over there.
Yep.
And it was just my life. I was like, I love this arena rock.
Yeah.
And then I slowly transitioned. I got a little bit, older, and was exposed to some other stuff. Like, for example, in 1979, I saw Cheap Trick. They were in a smaller, like 2,000, capacity place compared to the multi-thousand of the previous mentioned arena rock phenomenon. So, and then what do we have here? X at the Hot Club.
Nice.
The Pretenders at the Bijou.
Sweet.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Ian Hunter.
Like me some Pretenders.
Split Ends.
Oh, wow.
999 at the Bijou in 1980. So you can see, well, Iggy Pop, of course, legendary 1980.
Nice.
But Sue Sad and the Next, The Squeeze, So I started getting into these, like the Bijou, which was a much smaller, it was still could, host these larger bands, but not anything like Kiss or Ted Nugent. And then I discovered, here's Rockpile at the Agora Ballroom. The Damned, of course, they're absolutely huge. And the Cars, oh my God, I saw the Cars. And, let's see, no, it was 1978, June 22nd. And so the Cars were actually a very small band at this time period. Not well known, like Aerosmith or something like that. Well, then I got turned on to the bands that played at clubs that had a capacity of 200 or 300. And that was really when it changed my life. And I started going to see bands like the Nerve Breakers, the Telephones, and other bands from Dallas in these tiny places like DJ's. Yeah. DJ's was this place on Lower Greenville. The proprietor was Dolores. She sold 90-cent Budweiser to anybody that could physically walk in the door. I was 17 or 16 doing this, and there was nobody checking IDs. Yeah, this was a different era. Yeah, and the music was unbelievable. When I discovered DJs and the Hot Club in Dallas, that's really when my life changed. I live for live music, and I have since the mid '70s. That is really when it changed. Yeah, it's like small venues, local bands. Yep. Unbelievably powerful music. And I can say the same thing. I mean, I've run AV for years, since I was about 18. I'm 41 now. And I've spent my time in large, huge venues. I spent my time, like I was saying, I worked Rush a couple years ago. I worked Pink Floyd. Like my last year of rock and roll before I went on broadcast was like probably the best hoorah in the world. The only band I missed out on was Grateful Dead and Led Zeppelin. And I didn't work with those two.
The ones you
I didn't work with those two, shamefully enough. But that last year was literally like Roger Waters' The Wall, Eric Clapton, go out and work with, Tom Petty and, Paul McCartney. It was just like all these huge acts. But as opposed to going out and loading in huge shows and being on video crew or, tearing down Neil Peart's drum kit, stuff like that, what I loved was engineering in small clubs, like the Ale House in Portland, Maine, where it was literally a basement club that fit about 150 people. Right. Like even to this day, my favorite venue in Austin is Elephant Room. I love it. Absolutely. It's such a small room. It's so live. Like the vibe in there to begin with is amazing. And where the hell else are you can hang out in a basement in Texas? Like, come on. Like there is one at the Alamo, believe it or not. It's under the Sisters of Texas Hall, or the Daughters of Texas Hall. Sorry. But I was the same way. It was for me engineering. Even though I did huge festivals and all that, it was always the small venues that I loved. There was something about the vibe of it. Well, and you didn't need to mic guitar amps. There's something raw about it that was so different than the arena rock scene. Yep. And it just struck a chord. And, I've been going to see shows in tiny venues ever since. Mm-hmm. And what about you guys? Let's start up over here with Shannon. How did you come to the genre of punk music? What was your journey to that? Because everyone's is different, punk is one of those. It's literally either it's like the Grateful Dead. It's either a love-hate relationship. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
The way I started playing with Clay, which I've known Clay for years, playing in other bands in the same scene, but not in the same band. But we're literally on a ski lift in Colorado, and he just kind of looks at me and goes, "So I got this idea."
Always starts with
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And he was specific even then. It was already a done deal. Yeah, yeah. It's like, do you fully formed idea? Would you be into it? And I was like, and the thing is, songs that he suggested is kind of funny because my first taste of punk rock as a kid, I remember getting like Circus Magazine and Cream Magazine. Oh yeah, looking for articles on Queen and such. And here's these pictures of like Johnny Rotten.
I was going to say Sex Pistols.
I didn't quite get it. Yeah, and of course, living in the Midwest, you weren't hearing any of that stuff on the radio. Maybe on college radio, not in junior high or whatever. So and I had an uncle who'd play things for me all the time, and it was always like, I think you're just too young for this yet, like television, Marquee Moon, stuff like that. So anyway, it wasn't until I moved to Farmington, New Mexico, don't ask why, family deal, and it's the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And it turns out that there's like a group of people there who had to move there, their families were in oil or whatever, had to move there, and they were from Texas. And these people had like the Skunk single and all these things that he's talking about. And I was like, well, yeah. And that's one of the reasons I moved to Austin, because at that time, which was 7 years before I ever moved here, these people are like, you got to go. It's great. There's all these great bands. Live at Raul's was a friend of mine played. That was the first thing he played for me. He goes, wow. I go, so what's up? What's in Austin? He goes, this is the album.
And I would like to interject quickly. Cool. That is the best album in the world, in my opinion. Live at
Raul's is a classic record. Yeah. So anyway, never was really a punk, but at the time, go to college, everybody went to the shows. There was always skaters that have backyard parties and, half pipes, beer. Bands would come through Albuquerque. This is where we were then. And they would need a place to stay. So bands like Minutemen, Black Flag, of those, there was no place to play. They would come in and play for a place to stay, basically. Yeah. So that's where I got turned on to the punk rock and the underground scene. And even though it wasn't like I didn't have a skinhead or like that, back then it was just kind of, hey, if everyone's cool, we're cool. It doesn't matter what you are. Just show up and support the scene and be cool and whatever. As far as no violence. We're not here to hurt anybody. Usually, it was the frat boys who would show up and cause the problems. Because they hear that there's a rumble going on and they go down and get involved with it and they don't really get it. So so anyway.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. There's a difference between a proper mosh pit and what happens now.
And by the time Austin 85.
I was in one Sunday night, so I know. I went and saw the Grundles, local punk band.
Nice. But, Austin 85, I get here and everyone's telling me it's over. They're like, hey, you missed it, dude.
Aww.
Like, what? He's like, oh man, it's over. And so I'm at a place called.
Now, when was this? What year was that?
This is 85.
Okay, 85.
And it's over. And I'm in a place called Atomic City. And the guy in there is telling me that it's over and whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's horrible. He goes, but good luck,
Oh,
Austin's a good place. So later that Saturday, I go to the Continental Club. I go to the Continental Club, which was a great place back in the early or mid 80s. And it used to be kind of a punk club then, alternative club. But I look up and there's that bass player. There's a guy that was talking to me at the store, playing on the stage.
Nice.
And it was Chris Gates from Big Boys.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Big Boys.
And now he just plays in Poison 13.
Yeah.
And so they're up there, a great band. It was awesome. Their place is packed. I'm going. So I guess if this is over, I guess if this is over, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So it's just circular, but that's. He's had an idea, and I think we're all just here to, it's fun, and it's really been a blast to unearth some of these songs, and a lot of things that, think all the songs that are going on, like, oh my God.
Yeah, and we'll play one in a minute. I actually want to hear from the other two guys first. Dan Ramirez, from the drummer. What was it that brought you to the genre of punk?
So my story's a little different. And first of all, I didn't know this was a visual show.
That's all right.
Here's a picture of my Iggy Pop autograph.
Nice.
Hey, dude. So I met him one night. I'm from Southern California, San Diego, even farther south. And I met Iggy Pop. I saw him a couple of times. And I found him out in the back parking lot behind the San Diego State University.
Not going to ask what he's doing.
And I ran up to, we just saw the show. And me and my friend Guy Lopez ran out there. And I said, we got to find Iggy. So we run around to the back of this big venue at the college. And there's one lone car under a spot, parking lot in a huge college parking lot. And I go, there he is. And I run up to the car, and Iggy rolls up the window with that wide-eyed look like, what the hell is he doing?
I'm about to get mobbed.
And I knock on the door. I go, Iggy, I just want an autograph. And he rolls down the window, and he was totally cool. He signed an autograph, drew that weird little picture.
That's awesome.
And it's a memory I'll have for all my life.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Since I grew up in Southern California, it's a little different. My music interest came, honestly, from my sister, Jackie Ramirez. She's listening now, so hi.
Jackie.
Hey,
Jackie.
So everything that I've come to like was either from her or from my father. My father was a country music guy, so I have a like for country music. But when I was a kid, we went to all the punk shows in Southern California, and I didn't really know the bands that we play now because they were local to Texas.
Sure.
You know, I knew the Weirdos. I, hung out with the Zeros.
Well, I mean, didn't you actually know them like well enough to where you actually jammed with the Zeros at one time? And explain who the Zeros are.
The Zeros are Javier Escobedo, who's the brother of
Alejandro.
Robert Lopez, who is now Elvez, and a couple other guys. And yes, they grew up in the same neighborhood. Yeah. Their drummer, Baba Chanel, is a good friend of mine. We went to high school together.
And the Alejandros are related to Sheila E. too. A lot of people.
They are related to Sheila E. and Pete Escobedo and Coke Escobedo. It's a whole big family. Those folks I didn't know. I don't really know Alejandro. I only know Javier. But so they were big at the time. And I was lucky enough to play a couple of times in my garage with them. But those were the bands that I was into there. We used to go to the Whiskey A Go-Go every weekend. My sister Jackie would drive us up to L.A.
That's awesome.
Nice. Whiskey. We'd see the Weirdos.
That's a cool sister.
We'd see the Germs. We'd see
the Germs.
Yeah.
Damn.
I would say Joan Jett was always there. She was always trashed. So when
and still look good trash.
She didn't care about it.
So it was probably a similar scene to what the guys here went through, but it was on the West Coast. Yeah. So that's where my interest lie. Yes, I was into Cheap Trick, all the arena bands, Kiss, the whole deal. I saw Cheap Trick at a great little venue in San Diego called the Fox Theater, and it was an old movie theater with balconies and everything, and it was just fucking rad.
Nice.
So it was great, and that's where kind of I come from, and then
So how'd you get to Texas? Like, what brought you here?
It was a job thing. So job moved me here. We've been here about 17, almost 18 years now. And once I got here, I played with a few bands. I played some country stuff. And then I saw Clay's ad on Craigslist. Said punk rock drummer, I think, right?
Yeah. It's awesome.
And I emailed it back. I said, I don't know.
Okay, so this was Craigslist, so it wasn't that long ago, right?
That wasn't that.
No,
so we've been.
No, it's just a couple
of years, I guess.
I was waiting for you to say like the Chronicle.
No.
Yeah.
So the last couple of it's been a couple of years that
No.
we played together, I guess, as this group. But I just answered the ad and I said, I'm from Southern California originally. I know that stuff. I don't know this stuff. And, I might be a little older. So if that's a thing, don't email me back. And he did.
As he searches for his readers.
It's good to get all that up front, get it all out up front.
We do stretches. We take care of it.
You got to, man.
Oh, yes.
You got, especially as a drummer.
Yeah.
You got to do stretches. So, Marshall, you're last.
Mine's a lot more simpler, but just through skateboarding got me into punk rock.
Okay.
And then hooking up with these guys. I was only familiar with maybe like one or two of the bands, but once I heard it, I was like, yeah, I got to do this. This is good stuff, and people need to hear it.
Yeah.
And all these guys are great, so it was just very natural.
And speaking of needing to hear it, we actually have the track. Thank you. Come here, you.
Play that beautiful.
There we go.
Beautiful footage we got.
Yeah, roll that beautiful bean footage. We've got the track Frat Cars. Tell us a little bit about that, why it's one of the songs that y'all like to cover, because y'all are a tribute band. That's what y'all do, is cover this specific genre of Austin music scene.
I moved to Austin, this is Clay, in 1983, and a lot of the punk that we tribute had already, been, happening, and so I missed I missed a lot of it in person. However, the Big Boys played through 1985.
I was going to say 85 was about.
And I saw the Big Boys every single time they played. I was an obsessed fan.
Nice.
And Frat Cars is, just one of those Big Boy songs that I always loved, and get chills playing it live to audiences today.
Well, let's take a listen to that real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Let's get them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
One of my favorite things about punk music is the utter rule breaking of the 3.5 minute rule. Like, there are so many awesome friggin' punk songs that are literally like a minute and a half, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, here it is, music in your face, check it out, and it's done. Kind of like I always loved working metal nights, because inevitably I always had one band in Maine that was like the death metal band. And, it's just very mathematical the way that death metal works. It's kind of like how you just started out there, and then it like drops down. And it's like, dum, 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 dum. Like there's a kind of a predictability to it. And when you find good punk, it literally is like a warm hug. There's something that is so familiar about it. And that's the reason I picked that one, because out of the many tracks that y'all sent me, because it is the one that I found really spoke the most to me.
The short song, when you come from a background of, okay, I'm going to the Arena Rock Show, it's ELO. Okay, they might have 6 and 8, minute songs, and then you get exposed, like I did in 1980. To the LA punk scene, which is completely different than what we are talking about tonight. But Black Flag, The Germs, X, Circle Jerks, when I discovered that, it blew my freaking mind. It's like all their songs were 2 minutes.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was just super raw, and it was a refreshing thing to hear. As a teenager, being completely immersed in arena rock.
Which I think is interesting, because, everything in the world goes kind of in a wave pattern, you know what I mean?
Right.
And at that time, like Clay is talking about, when we were kids, that was like a whole nother world. We have younger people now talking about punk, and we're going to Green Day, and that's the kind of the next
cute.
Generation.
I know why you're going to Green Day.
Well, I won free tickets.
Hey, I wouldn't turn down free tickets to Green Day.
But what I'm trying to say is that's like that next generation.
It is.
Sure.
But
Exactly.
But I really don't think they get the feeling that Clay is talking about.
Yeah.
The feeling that I got.
Yeah.
Shannon, Dread, that that whole change of okay, this is cool music.
This is something on a different level.
Right.
But it was revolutionary. It wasn't taking something revolutionary and then taking it.
Yeah,
further.
well, it's like the first time you hear something like Dead Milkmen or Butthole Surfers, where it's just like, what? Where has this been? This is something totally different than what the hell I've been exposed to.
Right.
Why is this not on the radio? And that's what's more interesting to me than anything else, because punk had its, as someone who's a musician who had his stint on college radio stations, stuff like that, that's kind of where punk revolved, was right up around there. They were on college radio stations. They were on your local pirate radio station. On occasion, you would catch, even in Houston, like a good late night show, something like that on your local mainstream station from like 1 to 3 a.m., something like that. Maybe they'd have a punk spotlight. But other than that, yeah, it was stuff like Dr. Demento or something like that introduced you to this kind of stuff. Like you said, it's kind of like the comic book culture. Right. It's one of those, like, you listen to it because that's what your older brother was into, and that's where you were exposed to it.
Oh, yeah. And that was totally it for me.
Yeah,
my sister was on the edge.
I do think it does. There's a certain personality that gravitates to it, though.
Yeah,
right.
No, most definitely.
And
I agree on that.
I don't know what it is, but there's some sort of a. I don't want to call it structure because it's punk rock, but there's obviously something there, and when that is performed, to the highest execution.
Yeah.
More creativity and effort. Like, who cares about technical shit? But just if the vibe is there, if it's powerful, like, to the right person, it just grabs them,
Yeah. Well, and I think the technical aspect, it's interesting that you bring that up, because so many people talk about how punk is not a technical thing. I think the technical thing about punk is actually the cooperation amongst people on stage more than anything else. It's almost like a jam band. I mean, whenever you really stop and think about it, because it's so high energy.
In 90-second increments.
It's like, but the energy of it, it carries over and through the crowd and across the stage. And there is just unspoken communication that happens during those moments because of that heightened energy. And it's something that I think kind of deviates from the norm. And like you said, it attracts certain personality types. Whenever I was in the booth, you could almost set up like a calendar wardrobe for bars or venues, oh, it's 80s night. Like you wouldn't even have to put a band name. You could like put a shirt style, and like put a chain wallet. It's a punk night. But where do you guys fall? With the progression of punk, because I'm an arena rock fan. I was born in '75. I'm slightly younger than you guys, but I gotta say, since Roll the Bones, I've seen Rush twice every tour. Stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of that kind of stuff. But like I said, whatever you say, I'm going to see Green Day. That's cute. 10,000 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours was a great album. Dookie had some good songs on it. Yeah. After that, but
Dookie's pretty much what put him on the map.
I know. I was going to say Dookie
it was. And at that point, that's when 10,000 Smoothed Out Slappy, and I'm trying to remember the name of the other one. There was another one that they had that came out before that, and they were like highly sought after that. Yes, that was it. Kerplunk.
Yeah,
that was it. Yep. And another one that's like, hey,
I had my doubts about
turd sound
Dookie when it first came out.
Perfect
it seemed like they were trying to do that old punk thing, but it seemed sugar coated or something.
Well, so I'll tell you about Green Day and my experience with Green Day. We're talking about the whole thing, and my daughter Erica was into Green Day when she was a kid. I'm like, oh yeah, you're in punk.
Yeah,
and I thought, these guys aren't fucking punk.
Right, exactly.
I know, right? I know I look like a suit sometimes.
Let's play some Dead Kennedys real quick.
But I did some shit, right? But so she was the one that kind of introduced me to Green Day.
Yeah.
And, they're certainly, getting up there in age now, too.
Sure.
But they did their thing at their time. And,
they did.
And, that's that kind of next level that I was talking about.
Right.
It certainly comes in waves, and there's bands.
Yeah, that wave you were talking about.
Somebody I think mentioned the Damned. The Damned's going to be here at Waterdale in a couple of weeks.
They are,
and those were bands that again my sister introduced me to when I was a teenager playing drums in my garage. So there's that whole evolution, and you can get things from everybody, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, my father was a big country guy, and I was very close to him, and we would drive in the car, and he would play all these old country music, and he bought all these country vinyls from whatever that Time Life.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Records.
Was it Columbia? Were you
Columbia?
Penny?
Maybe. No, it wasn't the Penny. It was before the
No,
Penny.
it was Time Life.
Yeah, it was Time Life.
Time Life.
But so that has also been a part of me for a long time. But I guess my point is that there's a lot of evolution in music.
There is, and it's interesting because there is always that cycle of, okay, we're looking for independent, okay, we're looking for bubblegum. Okay, we're looking for independent. Okay, it's the same way as the political spectrum. I mean, it swings opposite spectrums
It's
consistently.
just completely different now. I mean, the whole market's different. Like when we were kids, the only way you saw a band was to go see them. I mean, you're not going to maybe on. I remember staying up and watching the midnight special.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in bed like at 10.
There's stuff like Friday night videos and things like that before MTV.
That's the only place you're going to see any of those guys. And that was it. You go down and wait for the new Cream magazine to come out.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Nice.
And that just transitioned into punk rock with
How come they don't have magazines?
Old Whistle Test.
They do. I mean, there's a whole stack of them out there. Feel free to visit the free shelf. There's like
still out.
There's Prog magazine. There's all kinds of stuff.
But why do you need to see it? There's no mystique.
Half of it is literally half-page ads that bands have taken out for their band.
I mean, when you were like in high school and you heard a punk rock band was coming, there was fear.
Right.
Yeah.
There was not. The community didn't go, oh, awesome. The kids will love it. It was like,
and that's just it.
Everyone's going
That's
to
just
hell.
it.
Shit
Even
broken in our area.
and there was that kind of thing. I want to go check this out.
And there was an arc right there in the mid '90s to late '90s with Green Day, 311. I mean, you were a skater, so obviously things like
I remember them.
311. It's a little beyond your time. I'm sure you were in your 30s by that point, probably not skating too much.
Man, he skated here. What are you talking about?
He skated on the way over to this
Might be
podcast.
a little bit.
Do you have wheelies on? You remember grinders? You remember when those came out? They were the actual. Yeah, they were shoes that actually had grind plates on them, so you could just jump up on poles and like slide down them, jump up on handrails and stuff.
That's cheap.
They were classic. But yeah, there was this whole arc of stuff like 311. My God, the other one just left my head. Even stuff along the lines
You were
of
probably
No Doubt.
thinking of Dead Kennedys or something.
Dead Kennedys was long before that.
Yeah, right.
Well,
that was the 80s.
The thing is what is the purpose of why are people making this music? I mean, punk rock back then, it was like, hey, we can do this.
Yeah.
We don't have to. Look, I've got something to say. I like playing guitar.
Yeah.
Let's just get together and make some noise and see what happens. And that's what it's all about. What's the motive? Then it becomes maybe social issues. Maybe it gets political, like, whatever. Back in the day, we'd have these things at this park in Albuquerque, and it'd start out as a, rock against racism.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts out as that, and then the next thing you know, it's like the Rock for Pot people show up. So
Pot against racism.
And then it's rock, and then it's rock against Reagan.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, but the thing is that people came together, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It was all about the music, and there was this kind of like where it all was the same thing. It's like, we're going to go see this band. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to go there, and this band's going to talk to us like the Dead Kennedys. They're going to talk to us about like social stuff and cultural stuff and like, frustration. But the thing is with Green Day, nothing against them. I've seen them many times. They put on a great show.
Sure.
They're awesome. But they didn't have any agenda other than we're just going to be goofy, flip people, be funny. There was no like, they're definitely not saying anything against
really. There was no necessary.
They weren't taking any chances with their green hair
There
in
was a Green Day
1994.
show when I was
That's
in
really
high
not,
school.
Yeah.
But
It
the
got
thing is
shut
that
down
they
for
wrote good
riots.
songs and they took advantage of MTV and that people saw them and they became great and they're still doing it. And I think that, I don't think they've ever
Do you
really
think they're?
sold out.
Do you think they're even in the top 10 of pop punk bands?
Well, and
I don't
like
know, but
Julie,
the thing is, I don't like pop punk.
like
bands.
Julie
That's
just
the
said,
thing.
when she was in high school, when Green Day first came out, there was a show that was shut down in her
was
town
in
because of
Boston,
riots
yeah.
in
Right.
Boston.
Like people were still pretty hardcore, even though it was Green Day.
And that's where I was talking about with stuff like
don't say
Deftones
hardcore,
was the
though.
band I was thinking about, where that was much more. It was
The
like
music
a
wasn't.
combination of punk and slip hop, almost verging on Korn, but very much using punk as their through line in the skater
You have
culture
bands
and
like
everything
Black
else.
Flag. I mean, that's
Because there are a few subcultures that
Not
kind of hover and I guess electron around the nucleus that is punk, and that's what you're talking about is the melange of people that came together simply because of the music.
Well, the thing is, with any music, like I talked to a guy at work, and he's real young, and he was talking about how he liked the Kinks, and he liked the Kinks better than the Beatles. He never really cared for the Beatles. He just never was. He's
I'm
so
not a
young
huge
that
Beatles
but
fan.
he's never was like, I just care for
I'm
this.
a
He
huge
goes,
Ringo fan.
but then he tells
Same
me,
here.
but if you think about the time that it came out and you put it in historical perspective,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that sound, and that's the thing about going back to these songs, is that at the time they're cool and everything, but did you even think about 30 years later and what you'd be listening to or what
Yeah.
would be going on, let alone revisiting and playing this
Yeah.
music? But then you go back and go like, wow. I mean, no wonder people were scared.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
there
go
was
back and listen to
that,
stuff like Trogs.
That's why, yeah. This
when
is
the
where
when the
I-
Trogs came out,
Yeah,
good God,
I
what
mean,
was that, like 58?
Police would
something
show
like
up.
that.
Tell
Like,
about that, like the
their
Hunt
distortion
Riot.
was achieved with a dull razor blade on the strings. They didn't even have distortion. Like,
and as Shannon was saying, police were always showing
Yeah,
up.
police are showing up.
even in Southern California.
Yeah.
Well, the first Raul's Royal Foot show was shut down.
okay.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the police showed up.
All right. Well, that is a proper proper punk introduction,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
there's and the people.
There's nothing more
the
punk
people
than
that
that.
were putting on this show. They
gotta
just
keep
wait and let them wait about 10 minutes and then play again.
Yeah.
And so we did, and
Yeah.
within like 30 seconds again they came, and then it was like no.
Yeah.
No more.
And interestingly, our second show, which was at Trailer Space Records, was on the 37th anniversary of the Huns riot, which took place at Raul's. And there were some punk bands playing, and there's an undercover cop in the audience.
Here we go.
And he people were slam dancing and people were getting
Yeah.
rowdy, but it was normal.
Yeah.
But this cop didn't understand what was going on. He thought a riot was occurring.
Yeah, no,
Right.
because the
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
and
He
that's
called-
just the thing. Like slam dancing is where mosh pits came from, and the
Right,
first time you
right.
witness a mosh pit, you're like, "Yo, bro!" But even slam dancing is one of
might
those.
be
If you've
bloody,
never seen it,
but he enjoyed
like,
the shit
you
out of
might
that.
you might think something, but it's one of the most friendly, like constructive, like supportive things in the world. I've never seen slam dancers hurt each other or attempt to hurt each other
Not on
or
purpose.
anything like that. Not on purpose. Yeah.
The undercover cop called in backup. And so uniformed cops come in and are like they think it's a riot. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're panicking, and they
called
go
music.
up to the guy on the stage who's singing, and it's like, you gotta cut
Yeah.
this down. And the guy kissed him on the cheek.
Jim Morrison
Oh,
action.
here we go. Yeah.
So the cop was kissed on the cheek by one of these punk rockers.
he was tackled.
guys, and the whole thing was shut down. 2 people were arrested.
Wow.
It was like there's there is literally a Wikipedia article on the Huns riot. Just type it in, the Huns riot.
The Huns riot.
And our second show was the 37th anniversary of the Huns riot.
That's awesome.
That's really what they say when people started figuring out, like, other than watching the Quincy punk rock episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's where people
Yeah.
are like, it's actually here. Like they say that's where it
watching
actually
like
got,
Dragnet or something.
Well, it was in the paper,
Listen,
like
son.
punk rock show, where people were like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our
What's
Jimmy
gonna
was
happen?
down
Hide the
there."
children.
You may think what you're doing is fun, see?
There's a
but listen here.
Yeah.
We should make that an annual show somewhere.
Well, absolutely. But,
Yeah.
there's a band that I'd like to mention that has such
Do
a
it.
major influence on Texas punk rock, especially Austin Texas punk rock, and that is the Sex Pistols.
Yes.
In 1978,
Yes.
they played in San Antonio.
Yep.
And there were
Did you
a
hear
bunch
that?
of
in unison.
Yeah.
there were a bunch of art students at UT that went down to that show. The day after, they started forming bands, such as the Explosives and the Next, and other bands that are featured on the Live at Raul's album. And these were people that were already, into creative stuff. They saw the Sex Pistols and said, "I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
I'm starting a band tomorrow."
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
And they became
That's fucking sick.
a huge...
Yeah, the roots of a whole new movement in punk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's just that's what I was saying earlier. When it's one of those I don't know. I'm a Deadhead too. I'm also a Pink Floyd head. It's one of those. Those are bands that people either love or hate. Like they're it's same thing with Rush. People either love or hate them, and it's all because of Geddy. It's not the rest of the music. It's just Geddy's fault. Poor dude. Yeah, he's got a decent sized schnoz, and he's Canadian, so he's got a little high register. Leave him alone.
Yeah, he's great.
I want to see you play Moog with your feet while you play bass and sing, you bastard.
Talk about technical. They were technical.
Oh, they are math rock.
Math. Total.
That's all it is math rock, and that's what I'm saying. Like as far as heavy metal and stuff, like whenever you listen to prog rock, there is a math that's going on with it. Whenever you listen to stuff like Dream Theater, things like that, like there's a precision and a mathematics that goes on. But when you listen to punk, there is nothing but sheer raw energy.
Right.
I gotta say, I'm not a big Rush fan.
Right.
No, and see, that's just it.
Neil Peart's a drummer. He's
that's
the
great.
shit, and all the drummers
He
in
is.
the world think
Right.
he's the shit, and he is.
He's a human clock.
But it's really not my thing.
No.
Right.
I'm
It's
more
not
of
for
a-
Depends on
everybody.
what you're like.
Let it be,
into.
It is
noted that Dan.
It is a highly
Yeah.
stylized form of music.
I like
Much
I'm
like-
more of a ham and egger,
I remember
like-
my dad and I driving
every
down the
opinion
road one
counts.
day.
So I'm a big Charlie Watts fan.
My dad and I driving down the road one day, and Bohemian Rhapsody came on, and it gets into the part, where it really starts going, like where every musician's like, yeah,
Refresh my memory.
because
How's it
now, we all know the scene from Wayne's World. We all know
Almost
where
had
it
you.
breaks from like normal harmony into the fracas that is the rest of the song that goes through like 18 different styles of music before it's over. And my dad was like, I love this song until it gets to this stupid shit. And I'm like, that is the most unmusical thing I've ever heard. You realize
he didn't know how
like the
to take it,
challenge behind trying
know how
to
to
play
absorb
that
that.
many genres of music at the same
seriously.
time. Exactly.
That's the one.
We all know. We all know where it starts. And to me, talking about songs like punk that are 2-minute songs like Rush, where you can get into like 18 and a half minutes, like 2112. There are certain songs on the radio for me that you got like a minute to ditch out of it. And the sad thing is they're like iconic songs. And it kind of makes me feel bad as someone.
Hello.
Well, really more things like Brown Eyed Girl. Songs like Sweet Home Alabama. Or
What do you mean? I don't know. What you're,
I mean, these,
Yeah.
not necessarily Sweet Home, because that's a fairly short one. But if
Explain
you look at
yourself.
like Freebird, that's like a 7.5 minute long song.
Okay.
Once you get past about a minute and a half, you're pretty fucking committed into being in there for 7.5 minutes.
I got you.
It's kind of like Hotel California.
But by then you're
It's a
pretty
great
high,
song.
so-
I mean, you should be in the groove, hopefully.
At
But
least-
you got
yeah,
that.
at least
You got
buzz.
that like 1 minute on the radio to be like, okay, I'm not crazy driving right now. Let me ditch out and change the channel.
So if you were driving in your car and 2112 comes on,
it's rare that I would ever even ditch like the radio version of 2112 that's 6 minutes. I wouldn't even ditch out on that.
I got you.
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. When it comes to music, what do you not listen to? Because I find that almost as important to musicians as what you actually listen to and what you're influenced by. What do you actively avoid?
What's really what's interesting? Yeah.
Probably the radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I don't ever listen to the radio. I don't listen to the radio.
You a talk man?
Yeah.
You a talk radio man?
No. I just
no.
Just,
not into podcasts or
no. I'll listen to podcasts, but not in the car.
See, the people I know that listen to punk and new punk, I mean, totally, it's the same answer.
No, I'll just
it's
plug
not
this
the radio.
Yeah, I just play what I want to hear. And no radio. I mean, radio. I mean. There are like the what's it called, KUTX.
Yeah.
Hey, that's they're doing pretty good, but they've kind of fallen back into that KGSR adult contemporary kind of a lot of bongos kind of stuff, and so where you're just like, oh my god,
dissing the bongos.
Like, no, we really don't need to hear Bob Schneider.
Right.
Yeah.
No, KUTX.
I agree.
And I know that
my opinion.
I know that when
it's just not my cup of tea.
The festivals come to town, that they play the bands that are in the festival. So we're gonna have to hear the Red Hot Chili Peppers coming up here, and we're gonna have to hear all these bands that are playing, and that's how it works, because they're a sponsor, and it's all
commercial.
It is a commercial station, but they do at least try. But there's really nothing else. I mean,
were the
KLBJ. I mean, if you want to hear classic rock, if you want to hear Led Zeppelin, you've got a 1 in 5 chance. Yeah. If you just turn on KLBJ.
I've said for years you could
after the commercial.
You could almost, if you have a good classic rock, specifically an oldies station. If you have an oldies station in your town, you could set your watch by the Beatles.
Yeah.
Within the top 5 or bottom 5 of the hour, you will hear a song by the Beatles or a Beatle.
Right.
Guaranteed. Twice an hour.
I listen to a lot of different.
As long as I hear, I am the walrus.
Yeah. I listen to Sun Radio a lot because they play local. They
enjoy
play
Sun.
Local bands, which I enjoy and I appreciate. But I was listening to the New York Dolls on the way over here. So.
Nice.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
I was listening to the Ramones.
I'm a big Ramones fan.
I mean, there would be no Sex Pistols without the Ramones.
Yeah,
right.
The Ramones went over, and basically people freaked out in London. They're like, "Oh my god,
here comes the Sex Pistols!"
And same thing. All these people said, "We can do that. This is awesome. It's not about being on stage and have a crown on and say we're above you. It's like we're all in this together." Yeah. And the thing is, at the time when I was a kid, the Ramones, I didn't. What the hell is this?
Right.
What is this crap?
So I'll tell you a quick Ramones story. And I don't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But I've seen the Ramones. I can't even tell you how many times.
Really?
Anytime they came anywhere near San Diego or San Diego, we saw them. And there was one particular time at the same venue that the Iggy Pop show was at San Diego State University. It was called the Back Door. They used to promote a lot of concerts there. And the Ramones played there several times. And I don't know if you know who Arturo Vega is, but he was the guy that created the whole Ramones logo, eagle.
Nice.
Yeah, he was their graphic designer.
He was their guy. They lived in his apartment for some time. So me and my friend, the same guy, Guy Lopez, at a Ramones show, met Arturo Vega. And
wow.
Nice.
He was the coolest dude, had a very thick accent, and we hung out with him all night. He wanted to buy some, I don't even remember, sodas or something, so we took him across the street to 7-Eleven. Crack wasn't a thing. But it was the coolest thing. And the biggest thing I remember from him is he asked us both where we lived. And Guy is Robert Lopez Alvez's brother. So he says, I'm from Chula Vista. And he goes, oh, great. And I say, I'm from National City. He goes, National City? That sounds great, man. I'm going to make a something kind of artwork out of National City. I like that.
Nice.
National City.
I don't know if he ever did.
With that accent, I'd hang out with him all night.
What about you, Clay? What is it that you specifically don't listen to?
Yeah, I listen to everything. I listen to punk and rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
both kinds of music.
Yeah, man, that's a big range. I like that.
Both kinds.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. I love it. It covers every end of the spectrum.
It does. It does. Marshall, what about you? What is it that just doesn't float your boat musically?
I don't avoid anything, you know. Like, I mean, there's some, I'll hear some punk song that I think is absolute rubbish. But, you know, like,
sure.
It's, I don't avoid anything.
What about you, Steve?
What do I cut out?
Oh, Creed. Yeah. I avoid Creed.
Okay.
Dude, he hit it dead on. That's probably what.
Nickelback.
Yeah, although I know the songs already. It's like,
Coldplay.
What do I freaking? I don't know if I avoid. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think about avoiding something. I mean, if it sounds like crap, I'll turn it off. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a specific genre, except for Creed. But
that should be a genre.
Yeah. Just by itself.
What genre you don't? Creed.
I do not listen to country beyond 1997.
What about Western?
Country, Western, totally. Oh, anytime. It's good luck finding a modern Western artist. I'll listen to Bob Wills all day.
You bet. I'm a huge fan of Bob Wills. Oh, yeah. And I could talk to you about country music. All night. The early.
What about Dave?
The birth of the genre through the 50s were great.
Oh, well, because it was, whenever you're talking about people like Bob Wills, stuff, even early Willie Nelson and stuff like that, they were the punk artists of country music.
I was just going to say
They were the punk artists of country music, man. Like, they were breaking rules. People like Johnny Cash,
the Rebels,
stuff like that. They were doing things that had never been done before.
Right. What about Merle?
Merle Haggard. Sure,
right.
I mean, and there's a huge tradition of that here in Texas. Even to this day, there's a good tradition of decent country music in Texas.
You live out there?
Yeah. There's people playing all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who they are, and it's pretty much, most of it's pretty much just straight up traditional.
Right.
You know, like, John Anderson, remember him? But that kind of just.
You mean you're
see, that's what I'm saying. That's mid-90s. That's mid-90s.
Yeah. I mean, but the playing Purple Rain has to stop.
Yeah.
All right. Because that's, at least
as a country band, yes.
At least 4 times.
If you're a Prince tribute band, hit it up.
Yeah, but there's at least 4 people I've heard.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who they were because I can hear them right out my back. But they end their shows with this and the thing is, it's magnificent.
Yeah.
They do a great job.
But it's just like
you can just tell that these guys aren't really country players. They're just playing country
because it makes money.
Well,
it makes money, dude. You're in Texas. If you can play country, you can play country.
But it's just kind of funny. This guy's just twanging and honky tonking all night, and all of a sudden,
nothing but finger picking.
Grandiose, like, I mean, they got backup singers. They got a choir.
Yeah,
it's like
stem tracks going on from the keyboard player and shit.
I mean, it's just like after the second time.
I think we should do a punk version of Purple Rain.
And
somebody's got the Reason program going,
and that's quite honestly,
yellow
as an engineer, that's quite honestly what I loved more than anything about working with punk bands was the fact of, I had a punk show one time where the mains quit working. Like literally, I was in the middle of a show, band's really in the middle of their set, and I think I smell sparklers. Which, hey, that's not unknown at a punk show. Somebody may bring some sparklers and light one up in the club. That's cool, whatever. But I look down and it's at my feet. It's literally just like sparks pouring out of the amplifier. Like the mains start going out.
That's sick.
Oh, shit. Okay, guys, we got 1 of 2 choices. Second band's on. We got 4 bands tonight. You can either finish your set out and lose all monitors other than the drum, and we spin the 3 front monitors around, and that is our front house. Or we have no show. But yeah, only punk bands, as far as I know, would be totally down with I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Like,
I was gonna say,
I don't have that dude's guitar in my monitor. I don't care. Like as long as I can hear vocals through that one speaker, that's all I need.
I mean, we drove all our shit down there.
I like that.
Yeah, like we're playing. We don't
care. $20 to park.
Yeah.
So we just
and it was the same thing.
You're
I
not gonna find a little bitch in a punk band. You know, like excuse my language, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Well, like
It's
one
like
of
we're
my
not gonna
favorite-
find that dude
Yeah.
that's gonna be like, oh no, I need that particular.
You don't want to sound
I
too
cannot
good.
play.
No, that's
Ruins
just it.
everything.
Well, I mean, then people expect something.
I mean, that's punk right there. I mean,
you're playing jazz.
Well, and I mean, one of my favorite punk shows I ever did, a buddy of mine that was my manager at the time at Napa, right as I started HC Productions and was out providing live sound systems for shows. I was hired out to not only provide the sound system, but book all of the bands for this, like, concert/art festival out on the Portland State Pier, like the main state pier in Portland, Maine. So I was like, all right, I've got like 2 days of shows to fill, 8 hours of music each day. I need to find 16 musicians. So I gave my buddy's band a shot. And oh my God, it was so fucking epic, dude. It was amazing. I wish I had video of it. Of all the live DVDs I have from Portland, Maine, I wish I had a copy of that. Because in the middle of they were like, the next to last show, the last show, like, just canceled. They're like, no, we can't even stay. Like, this is horrible. Like, it started just pouring down rain, like sheets of fucking rain. And they were like, I don't give a damn. You cool with it? I'm like, I'll put trash bags over speakers if you're all right with it. He's like, we got 8 people here, man.
Yeah.
We told them we were playing. I'm like, all right, let's wreck it, dude.
Exactly.
And I pull out the 30-gallon,
man.
I pull
8
out the
people.
30-gallon trash bags and start wrapping speakers and gaff taping them. And yeah, like we had a show out in like 30-mile-per-hour wind with like sheets of rain, and there's just 3 dudes like just wrecking it for like an hour. It was
They would
amazing.
have never come back if you didn't
Yeah.
play. They would
Yeah.
never come see you again. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what, are you
no.
just- what are you not going to
Yeah,
play?
Yeah,
bro.
we
Oh, look, that's the pussy that couldn't do a show in the middle of the rain.
Yeah, if you got
Pretty
if you
much.
got a fucking rainstorm, call us.
Yeah. Well, and it was just funny. It was one of those, like, now I would never in my life ever even think about doing like that. Is so entirely dangerous. Eight people showed up
You
to
can,
see us.
you can build
play.
legacy on that.
That was the thing. Was like, I was like,
In
you
punk
know
rock,
what?
anyway.
The boy ain't lying. There it is, like 30-mile-per-hour winds and sheets of rain, and like the dude that runs the festival is gone, but these 8 people are still here to see them play.
They wanna see
I'll be
it.
damned if I'm not going to put on a show right now.
It's actually been over
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, oh no.
But
Here's a question: Are you guys into the Dead Boys?
I remember the Dead Boys. Yeah,
Remember Dead Boys?
Yeah.
Y'all gonna go
Stiff
see them?
Baiters, yeah.
I think they got a show coming up.
Yeah, they do have a show coming up.
Yeah.
Who's left? Cheetah Chrome?
Yeah, Cheetah
Cheetah,
Chrome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Chrome.
Cheetah was here like last year by himself.
yeah, he's got his own
He was
thing
here
that goes on and
recording,
everything else.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. I tried to, but
Yeah.
things happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dead Boys.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
I
they're
would
another
go see
band
them.
that really.
And again, that was
one of the
another band.
first.
Yeah,
one of the
exactly.
first.
That was one of the first.
They had to go to England to kind of do it. I mean,
Yep.
but there's kind of an Ohio connection back then too. A lot of weird.
Yeah, the
bands
whole
that-
Rust Belt thing
Yeah.
with, and I think it really came from a lot of the, big arena rock bands, things like Ted Nugent, stuff like that were really, even things like, especially if you look at Alice Cooper, stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that,
Well,
that
that
came
Detroit
out,
area,
that
MC
came out of that area, that was just like totally different. Things
Iggy
like
and the
Kiss
Stooges, my
that
God.
were just totally different than everything
You know
else
what's
that was going on.
crazy is like a
musically.
lot of people don't know that Glenn Campbell and Alice Cooper were really good friends.
They were great
Yeah.
friends. But we just lost Glenn. We
just
didn't
lost
even
Glenn,
mention that
yeah.
last week that we just lost
Glenn
Glenn.
Campbell was awesome.
Oh my god!
Right, right.
Hey, any man
Total
that's willing to
respect.
ride his tractor, like I'm gonna ride my lawnmower 2 miles down the freeway to go grab some beer. I love that.
I have a Glenn Campbell story.
Don't get
Go for it.
All right.
All right.
Give it up.
This is in Phoenix, probably 1984. It's a bunch of us living in a house for the summer. Why we moved to Phoenix in the summer, I don't know. But
In the summer.
and
Must have been cheap.
this, one of the guys,
Sweating your
one of the
balls
guys,
off while you're
I
moving.
one of the guys, I won't say his last name, but his name's Brent. He comes,
Fucking Brent.
Tons of Brents in the world,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And he comes home and he's like, yeah, met this really, really cool girl. And, and there was like this dance club that's where only place in town that would play any kind of alternative music or anything.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
like in the 80s,
one
we'd
and
go to the
only
dance
club.
club. So he comes back and he said, I met this girl, blah, blah, blah. We're going to meet up tomorrow. And we're like, cool for you. So
Yeah,
the next
good for
day,
him.
he comes back. It turns out it's Tanya Tucker and Glenn Campbell's daughter.
So you heard it here first, dudes and dudes.
That's dope.
So anyway,
way to go, Brent.
Yeah.
Way to
Anyway, he's going to go pick her up on this date, and they live in Scottsdale. And he goes out there, and he's like, "Oh my God, this, just high end living," and driving along, and they have a gate. And he
I'm sure they had more than one gate.
Yeah, he said he's pushed the button, and he's like, "I'm Brent here to pick up." Yeah, and here comes this truck. Just an old beat up truck.
Here comes Glenn.
Comes down, and Glenn gets out. She gets out, and he just goes, "I just want to." Meet who's taking my daughter out.
Nice.
Totally nice, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever,
proper, man.
And he said,
proper.
And,
proper.
Have her home by midnight.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anyway, they go out, and about 11:30, he's like, "Well, I got to get you home." And she says, "Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that." He says that.
He'll forget about it.
Yeah.
He's already drunk.
Well, that's kind of what happened.
It is not going to be a problem getting past Pop tonight, all right? Or tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon.
After 20 minutes, he finally tells her, "Look, I'm taking you home." So anyway, she kind of gets mad, and it turns out that she's only 17.
Oh.
And she had a fake ID, and she shouldn't even been in this place.
How old is Brent?
Yeah,
No last name.
What?
How old is Brent? No last name.
Probably about 19 or 20. Yeah, but still. Anyway, he gets back. Gets back to drop her off, and there's Glenn.
It's only that.
And Glenn's got a shotgun.
Oh.
Totally different Glenn now.
Yeah.
This is different Glenn. This is like you got my
This is
daughter
bottle and a
out
half.
now.
You got my daughter, Glenn.
This was the true grit, Glenn.
I told you exactly the true grit one, dude.
I told you 12. I told you 12.
Goddamn.
And maybe not. They didn't.
Glenn.
But the thing is,
got my shotgun full of salt and rhinestones.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's the case. Yeah.
that was the end of that.
Oh.
He didn't. Yeah, he was like that.
Good
After that,
Lord,
he's like,
yeah.
no, I'm not gonna, get shot by this guy or in trouble because she was basically going out and picking up guys that were, she's 17 and she's out picking up guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
saw her,
I don't
right?
know if he slept with her or even got that far or whatever.
Damn, that's a good story.
But it was like one of those
All
things
that,
where-
hey, that doesn't matter. All that matters is she was not home at midnight.
Right. That's exactly.
That's
right.
all that matters.
And Glenn was, not happy
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I granted, I'm a new father. I wouldn't be either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be either.
Well,
It's midnight, bro.
Well, that's the thing. She was She was in her rebellion stage.
Yeah.
And
She
you
was
saw
part
her,
of
right?
it.
I'm with
Was she
you.
hot?
What she looked like at the time, Tanya
She was
Tucker.
17.
By the time
Like
I
a
was
young Tanya
17, I
Tucker.
literally swore that I would never live in a house I could not break into.
You
And I've yet to live in a house I could not break
Oh,
into.
you gotta have those bars on the windows
Don't
and the
tell people
doors.
that your
and
house
shit.
is
Oh,
So is
no.
that-
I know where the vulnerability
Is that so? If if you
I
forget
think I
your
need
key,
another
lock your
beer.
keys
What if I
in, that
need
you'll be able to get in your house.
Kind of. More like there was a point in life where if I wasn't home by a certain time, my mom would lock me out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, you
And there was that point where, like, I would come downstairs and eat breakfast, and she'd be like, "What the?
Yeah.
How
No,
the?
I'm here. I was here the whole time.
How'd that happen?"
You were the Tanya Tucker of
Do
Maine.
you do the shameful kind of half knock, like
No.
just hoping maybe she's cool?
No.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No,
that.
you
Like
Go
I
find a
don't
window.
like I don't want to knock hard.
Right.
No, I
Because
just
then
broke in, bro.
Then they're gonna be mad.
I have
Yeah,
older
and,
sister.
Just
you know,
enough so you can hear
I just
me,
broke in. I was like a
but not
ninja.
enough,
Right.
really.
And
I'll creep where you sleep.
Maybe someone else will hear me.
Yeah, maybe somebody else.
Dan tried to help me break into my house once, and it did not work.
I did.
Yeah. No, you were not successful. That's a
Not
good
my
thing,
house
But I
Dan.
was
brought
like
her a beer.
fortress. He
That's a
did.
good
I
thing.
did bring
He
a
brought
beer.
me a beer
That's
and
Beer
brought me
smooths
swag.
shit over.
Hey, it's hot in
I got
Texas
a
when you're
beer.
waiting to
I
get
said,
on
here's a
walk
beer
like
and
into
here's
your
a couple
house.
of Raul
Stickers.
dry
Yeah.
foot stickers.
What are you
Yeah.
doing? Waiting to get into my house?
But
Good neighbor.
yeah, that is one wild Glenn Campbell story. I gotta say.
I like that story. I'm
It's a
glad
good
you
one.
brought it
That's
out.
a good. That's a
You
good
know,
one.
if the daughter, did she listen to, that 78 to 82 era of Texas punk rock?
No,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think what they were probably dancing to was probably like the English beat,
Oh, well, that's not too bad.
B-52s.
Oh, okay.
Cold.
Yeah.
I mean, The Cure, probably enough to call it then. Yeah.
You know, I'm all about B-52s until you get into Rock Lobster. And Rock Lobster is one of those, like I said earlier, you got to ditch out within a certain amount of time. Because otherwise you get to the point where the engineer literally got the new toy and he's like, fuck it, man, listen to all these cool sounds. Yeah. And that's like the last minute and a half of the music where it's like a horse whinnying and like cats meowing and like claves. Like, where the fuck did the claves come from? Yeah, and it's literally just like this sound box that the sound guy got when check out all these cool fucking samples in this thing.
That's another thing about that era, though. Yeah, because none of that stuff was popular. None of that stuff is on the radio. Yeah. None of that stuff was. It was not. People think back like we grew up like Depeche Mode was on the radio. They had Depeche Mode on the radio. That was like the only place you would hear it is going. I had Depeche Mode on the radio, or parties, or mixtapes, or whatever. People would trade tapes. It was like you have to go out and find music. You know,
it was like trying to hear Butthole Surfers on the radio. That didn't happen until like 1996, 97.
That's when
Pepper came out. And good God, they've been playing since like 78.
Stuff after when that began. It was before that good stuff.
It was the same way with Screaming Trees. Even if you look at them, like they didn't hit until the grunge scene hit, and they were 3 albums deep. They've been playing together since '79.
And isn't like that guy from the Queens of the Stone Age, wasn't he in that band?
Well, he was in that band.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of bands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy.
He was in the Beatles.
He was the fifth Beatle.
Look it up.
He was the fifth Beatle.
Don't look it up, but
don't Wikipedia. No, feel free to Wikipedia that. It may be in there.
Give me a moment.
But getting back,
give me just a minute.
I like that.
Kind of getting back to what we were saying is like the B-52s and the Go-Go's and all of that was that kind of, hey, let's be poppy, punk rocky kind of thing that people will listen to. So
it was new. It was just a new wave of rock and roll.
Well, and that's why
it was, rock and roll was a commercial thing.
New wave was something in and of itself. I think that kind of it came right after punk, and I think really kind of came out of it. Because it was so different. The things that were happening whenever you look at stuff like Cyndi Lauper, things like that was about as female punk as you could get in the 80s.
Right.
You know, not just appearance, but attitude and the lyrics.
It was MTV.
And it was. And,
MTV was the guy and the thing is you can take all those punk images and just make them a little bit safer.
Well,
and, and have the green hair, but it's stylish.
Yeah.
And you can turn it into... products.
It became a consumable. And the culture became. I think it was really.
And there was great music along with it, and there's some bands that really, got to flourish.
No, I think.
But same thing. If it wasn't for the punk rock movement, none of that stuff would have ever happened because that changed the rules. Even with bands like the Cars, they changed the rules on pop songs.
Well, and I remember them. I remember having conversations with the group I was in, and it was like, hey, they're calling it new wave now.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? New wave. Okay.
Yeah, because it had kind of married with synth pop and all that kind of stuff. And, it's interesting even having this conversation to look back on it and see how that grew out of something. Even like to talk about new wave being the consumable form of that. Like rock and roll was nothing but the mass consumable form of blues. Really, whenever you're looking back on it.
And who were the kings of that?
It was,
Stones, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look back at, especially the bands that started heavy metal, hard rock, all that, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, everything else, they were just blues-oriented bands. That's what they did. And it's
rock kind of made it more commercial.
Yeah, all they did was make it commercially viable.
Yeah. Well, the first two Led Zeppelin albums were complete and utter flops.
Oh yeah,
they were utter and complete flops. They were like a half star.
Flops.
People hated them. They were whatever. I mean, they kept doing it. They went out and toured. I'm sure they made money playing tours and stuff. But as far as artistically, there wasn't anybody out there going, this is the landmark stuff. And in fact, there's people just...
It was the same way with rock.
People were basically... people were saying they were plagiarizing music.
No, they were.
people, there would be reviews saying like, this is just pure plagiarism.
Yeah.
You know, and it'd be like, well, okay.
Well,
whatever,
I mean,
but-
Women's Song was not an original. That was their version of an old blues song.
Yeah.
That was an old blues standard.
Well, I mean, the first
Yeah. But hey,
I
half
saw
of
Jimmy Page
half of
one
Jimi
time.
Hendrix was nothing but blues.
So I saw
that's
Jimmy
good.
Page in Nordstrom Rack one night.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
On
he
Brody
does.
Lane.
He does
I
live
do
here in
love that
Austin.
Nordstrom
He used to.
Yeah.
And I was like doing the whole stalker thing behind the.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking Jimmy Page.
I would have paid money to see you creeping around behind the
it was
lingerie
total
rack,
creeping.
When it
like
comes
a
to Jimmy Page, I would've
13-year-old
creeped, too.
boy with
It
your
was total creeping.
I would have totally fucking creeped.
with your iPhone.
I'll admit
Check it out,
was creeping.
everybody. It's-
Well, shit, I was just sitting at I was sitting at a bus stop one time,
looking
and I
through
looked
the
to my
bras.
right, and it was David Byrne.
No way.
Like
Nice.
David Byrne's
That's
just
just
standing
weird.
right next to me.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
sitting there. I think I was on Congress trying to get the
Wow.
#1. I was sitting there like
And he's
this.
waiting on the bus, too.
And I looked over, and it was David Byrne, and he has like one of those little mini guitars in a case on his back.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's just wearing like
Backpacker?
just kind of wearing a just freaky.
He wasn't,
Just waiting. I didn't know what to do because I really wanted to say like
He wasn't in
man,
lady pants,
I
was
think
he?
Zimber is a
don't
great
break my
song.
heart, man.
Yeah.
He wasn't in lady pants, was he?
No. He was. He looked like
As long as he doesn't pull the modern rock and roll and like wear the lady pants.
He looks like he just got out of REI.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Like he had like the nice,
Yeah.
like a little blazer,
Little blazer
shoes. He looked like he's
As long as there's no
ready.
bow tie.
Had his Timberlands on, ready
so
to
I
take
was-
on the trail.
I was just corrected. It was not
Okay.
Jimmy Page. It was Robert Plant.
Robert Plant.
That's who I meant to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Robert Plant, not Jimmy
Yeah.
Page.
It's Jimmy Page or
Some
something.
other-
Jimmy Page was
He's
in
on
town.
another
Yeah.
continent.
Yeah.
Easy to confuse,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say.
Man.
Yes.
we were talking about new wave
Yeah.
earlier, and
Must be the beers.
I know,
Must
like,
be beers. Might
we're,
be.
you know, we're a punk rock tribute band, but we do also play the Texas new wave. Which, Clay, if you want to talk about, what do you think is the difference between
Texas
that and
new
like
wave.
The traditional.
yeah,
the
English one.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, the English new wave specifically.
Well, I think the difference between the
Right.
the new wave of Texas versus the punk rock of Texas, you can look at our set list and kind of just pull out the songs. For example, the Telephones were
Right.
a new wave band from Dallas.
Yep.
That I saw as a 17-year-old at DJ's, and one reason that we're tributing this. It wasn't super noisy, super fast punk rock. It was kind of poppy,
yeah.
but it was not bluesy or rock. It was its own thing, which we all described as new wave. So, and the Nerve Breakers were the same way. They weren't like really punk rock. They were more of a new wave sound. So I think it has more to do with their approach, not only to songwriting, but their approach to their overall sound,
Right. The sound.
which had less distortion,
Yep.
and more of a pop sensibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for me, the progression of music like that, as you move, not just through history, like we said, it's cyclical. It's interesting now to see one of the examples I've given for years is the example of the single. For me, and I'm a little bit younger than you, not much. I'm 41.
that's how old I am.
But
What are you trying to say?
yeah.
I'm old enough to have
You
owned
made that
an
about
8-track
3 times.
machine.
Oh yeah,
And looking at it as someone who collected 8-track for a while, collected vinyl, that kind of stuff, I really think that the death of the album as we know it came with the death of 8-track. And my logic behind it is this. Because there was
Grab me anything.
Alcohol.
there's the concept of the single.
Not that.
There's the concept of the single.
right.
You know,
And we know
and
that very well.
Everybody knows the concept of the single. I
Sure.
mean, hell, We Need Another Rhonda is what killed the invention of the Beach Boys, and what killed awesome things like Pet Sounds.
Oh, you
and
mean
just,
like the single that's thrown down by
Yeah.
the record? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
record
as we know it.
Okay.
The
I
single
got you.
as we know it. Because the single had a rebirth in the 90s with the single tape and stuff like that.
Right.
But like
I
I said, I think the death of the album really came with the end of 8-track because 8-track forced you as opposed to any other medium, it forced you to listen to things in order.
Yeah.
If you wanted to hear track 2 again, you had to listen to track 3, then reverse it and listen to the last 3 tracks, and then reverse it again and listen to tracks 1, 2, and 3.
That was ingenious. Yeah.
So you had to be exposed to other things on the album in order to hear that favorite song.
So you also had to listen to your songs being cut in half.
You did. You did. But there were some.
It was like, hey, I had Peter Frampton Comes Alive.
Oh, who didn't?
And guess where the clip?
I know.
Yeah. It's right in the middle of the guitar solo.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Show me the way.
yeah. And right in the middle of Show Me the Way. Square in the middle of it.
It's like,
I love that album, by the way.
Yeah, ZZ Top Fandango.
Yeah.
Everyone had that on 8-track.
Yeah.
I had the record album.
And I loved 8-tracks.
Oh, 8-tracks were
They
awesome.
were the shit. Man.
They were great.
They
were
sounded
great.
way better
Oh,
than CDs.
incredibly.
They were hard to carry
you know,
around, but
Well, but
well, I mean, think about it. It was basically half of a DAT tape.
Is uncomfortable.
so I had the first Ramones.
To bring back the 8-track and kill the MP3.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a track.
Well, MP3 is actually dead already.
Is it done?
Yeah, no, the man who came up with the encoding for MP3 actually did not renew the license this year for the first time ever. He was like, it is a dead format. It has been taken over by AAC, FLAC, all these other lossless codecs.
AAC, is that what is that?
AAC, I think it may be the Apple Audio Codec. Apple Audio Codec is what AAC stands for.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a good. Yeah, oh no, they did a great job. They did a great job. But it's interesting even
That's a weird
because
situation.
I'm much more of an analog guy than I am digital. Even when it comes to even when it comes to engineering, like as an audio engineer, I am.
Yeah, I saw the outboard over
Yeah, no, like, hey, I'll show you. I'll proud pop in my home studio to you in a minute.
Gotcha.
You'll poop yourself. It's pretty wrong.
I
will
say,
admit.
the dudes in
You've
beer.
always been wrong.
It is an interesting
Studio
space,
is the
isn't
shit.
it? It is nice.
I like that there's a round table because I feel like
Yeah. Well, and originally it wasn't round. It took me a long time to get this table.
Hey, well, you made
and
perfect
Is
decision.
it modeled after King Arthur and the Round Table?
No, it's actually modeled. It's actually modeled after the fact that my wife one day said, "I'm tired of the fucking kitchen table. I want to get rid of it." And I was like, "Awesome, because I need a round table in my studio."
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
So it was a meeting of the minds.
Makes it nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I try to make an atmosphere. I'm a Virgo, which means I'm a nester.
okay.
You know,
that makes me a nest.
and
I'm a damn
like I can't help it. My wife, for instance, when we moved last August, we've been in our rent house 1 year.
Yeah, they say there's a mixture.
My wife went to Louisiana at the time and left me to pack the whole house by myself. Which, granted,
That was the plan, right?
I think so. But granted, I'm also used to packing 18-wheelers full of gear with like 5 or 6 people. So I'm pretty good at packing some shit. You can ask Steve.
Yeah.
We moved in what? We moved in what? Like 3 loads of gear?
Yeah. And guess who helped your ass?
You did.
You know what,
That's
though?
good God. Listen to the show, boy.
You know what, though?
That's what I just got finished saying.
Pack one shit in your shit
refreshing
pack.
your mind.
That's it. That's it. That's just one. Just one. That's all it takes.
So, no, long story
One of my
short, the
favorite jokes
genius
ever.
here had good.
Well, no, when he showed up, everything was properly wrapped with
Well, see,
packing
what I liked
blankets,
about it
things
was
like
that you made it very easy
Yeah.
with moving the big gear.
Yeah.
Let the weight do its own self.
That's
you
it.
know.
Because I move gear for a living. I'm not going to work when I
and
move.
It was very easy
But-
because, geez, that gear was,
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
But it took...
it was easy, though, the way we did it.
It was interesting with my wife whenever we moved because she was the one that actually wanted to keep the studio. Like, more than I did, even.
Like, keep it
That studio
here or
is
keep
dope.
Yeah. Keep this space. Like this... Because she does her podcast here on Wednesday night.
What is her podcast?
She does a podcast too.
Yeah.
She's a comedian.
Yes,
I
but
heard
why? Yes, but why? They interview comedians from all over. They've had, I know I guessed
Can we
it.
plug it right now?
Yeah, no,
we
absolutely.
should.
They've been on the show. YesButWhyPodcast.com. Go check it out. You can find it on Spreaker. You can find it on iTunes now. You can find it all over the internet. getting
I'm
ready
gonna
to
check
come
it out,
on
Chris.
Stitcher. It's pretty sweet. I mean, she's had people all the way up to like Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall
I
on.
love
That
that
was
guy.
really cool.
Like she's had some status people on her show.
One of the
It's
big-
pretty
here?
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this very
Did he
room.
sit in my seat or the?
I sat in your seat. He sat in Steven's seat.
But not actually that.
Not that seat. It was technically that one.
Oh.
So you are right where Kevin McDonald's ass was, my friend. How's that make you feel, Shannon?
You weren't mine.
Canadian.
Do you
I'm trying to
feel
pull a Kevin McDonald out of my ass,
Yeah.
but I can't right now.
do you feel more like ham than bacon right now?
I feel more like I do now than I did before.
I love you, Mr. McDonald. You were amazing. You were super fun to be on a show with, actually. But
Love that hair game is
yeah.
Yeah.
off the
Oh, it's crazy. It's great. But yeah, it was interesting though, moving because I mean, we're all musicians here. We all know what it's like to have our toys and what our toys, and we don't always get our toys. But my wife was like, and just literally somebody told her like, "You're okay with your husband like going out and like hanging out with all these people?" And she's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be okay with that? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I was like, I've tried to tell you before. Like, you don't understand when I tell people that, like, I have a home studio, and I have a studio outside my studio, and I have 2 podcasts, and my wife just let me start another website. And they're like, what the hell kind of wife do you have to let you do all this? I'm like, I just got a wife, dude. Like,
She's dope, dude.
she is. No, she's
Why would
fucking
you-
amazing.
Amy's awesome.
It's the way it should.
Amy
you're
Jordan,
dope.
yes.
Amy is
She
dope.
she is the dopeness. But yeah, she literally like encourages all of my neuroses.
She encourages you.
Yeah.
Say hey.
Yeah.
What is wrong
she
with
does.
her?
Amy.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy.
No,
is wrong with
she
her?
keeps my neuroses going,
Does
most
she?
definitely.
Good.
And keeps me motivated with that. What is it that keeps you guys moving as Raul's Royal Foot with the music, with the dedication to
You brought up your
the
wife. I have to
vibe
say my
and
old
everything
lady
else?
now.
Oh yeah.
No
Well, I
pressure,
mean,
no
let's still
pressure.
say things out of obligation.
Obviously,
I wanna know
everyone's
Obviously,
spouse.
you're woman.
Who's the big creator in this band?
Nah,
I'd like to know
nah.
that.
Let's go back a little bit to
Sure. Do it.
to this idea of the sound quality of
Yeah.
music. The 8-track tape was awesome,
Yes.
and the fact is that sound is a physical phenomenon.
Sure
The
is.
larger the file format, the better it sounds. That's why 8-track sounded great. That's why cassette sounded
Yep.
great.
8-track sounded great 'cause it was quarter-inch tape, man.
Okay.
You mean like physically?
Physically,
Yeah.
Physically, the size of the format has everything to do with the
Yes,
sound
it
quality.
does. Yes,
and
it
that's
does.
why we love vinyl so much.
Yeah.
Because every band that we tribute released vinyl. And vinyl is a large format,
Yes.
especially compared to what we have now, the MP3s and other digital formats.
Well, it's not just large; it's deep also
Well,
because
it's also
it's an
had a
actual
renaissance.
physical groove. And as the
Yeah, exactly.
music and bass wave gets deeper, the groove gets deeper and wider. Like,
I like
It's a
to
physical
hear
phenomenon.
impurities.
Yeah.
I like to hear everything in the room.
if you
I
want
like
to see
that.
some really beautiful stuff, check out some microscopic pictures
I've
of
seen that.
record
Yeah.
grooves.
It's crazy.
It literally looks exactly
Like
like
canyons or
it
like
looks like waveform. Like it literally looks just like a waveform on a digital editing console.
Holy shit.
It's wild. It's wild.
So please,
But-
listeners, listen to punk rock
Yeah.
in its original form on the 45 or the LP that it was released in originally.
or tape.
But they
And that's
also
the best
have
way.
re-released it onto that form again. I mean, like,
Well, you know that LPs are
They're the bee's knees
Well,
again.
they
They outsell
outsell
everything now.
CDs,
Yeah, they're
CDs, and I don't mean this against anyone who likes CDs. Are just throwaway
Sounds like a
garbage.
personal attack.
It's a throwaway garbage. I mean, there's no sense to even make it because it doesn't even. It's like
Well,
people
and
get
that was
CDs and
quite
they-
literally the idea behind it.
And
Was
the
the
thing
fact
is-
that
yeah.
we will make music so cheap that you can dispose of it.
right. It's just
That's
it's
how
just
we
a
will
way
get
to
it in
carry
people's
around.
faces.
At one point, I heard they were like making CDs for like 85 cents.
Oh, it's less than that,
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, now
Is it
you know
It's less than that.
But the reason that
You
I think
can
you're
have.
right, though,
I
the
can
thing
have
that
them
killed
printed for
CDs,
$1.20
though,
each,
yeah,
and that's
things that-
everything.
And that's
thing that-
what killed Tower Records,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that
Yeah,
killed
I
CDs
remember
was not
Tower.
obviously not the
No.
the LP, but it was
No.
again
What
it's
is it,
basically
24
downloaded
string
music,
WAP
the
Yeah.
free
down there.
music, and all that. But the
Right,
thing
right.
is now, I think people that are music fans, at least I speak for myself, is that if I like a band or I really like a record, I might not go out like I used to and just blindly buy a record. Right. They're $20, $25 brand new.
Yeah.
It is a commitment.
It's a little much.
Commitment.
It's a little much.
If I want to, if it's a band I like,
I go get
and it's a band I like, a fold out. I like to look at the artwork.
Exactly. It's a package. It's a package.
It used to be Shannon, you have a record label called Flak Records. Is that true?
Oh, really?
And so, what percentage of the releases that you do on your label are vinyl?
All.
Nice.
He's like, oh,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I have released for some people digitally.
Yeah.
That just couldn't make the commitment of doing a record. It's very expensive to put out a record.
It is.
It's time-consuming.
It's about 3 times as expensive as your normal CD process.
Worth it.
Yes, and
worth it.
So the thing is, what we're thinking of doing with this is, since we do covers, is to do a single with one band that we do on one side and another on the other. Yeah. And it'll be from that era, and maybe it might be the Skunks, it might be the Explosives, some of these bands that put out singles.
Those two.
Sweet.
And we're gonna ask permission from these people, but I think that they. I don't know why they. I would.
Fuck that.
But
actually, believe it or not, that's actually a little bit more punk than you would think.
But don't ask. But 45s. It's they're.
Well, and the thing is, at 45, you can get a really good gram on that. Like, you can get a really good gram weight on that vinyl and make it super high quality, as opposed to doing a EP or an LP on a full 10-inch, 12-inch vinyl that, would cost you upwards of $6-7 each, at a decent weight.
It is crazy how good it's done with the weight these days.
Oh my god, dude! It's like friggin' disc golf discs. Like it varies all over the place now.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
What you want for vinyl is 180 grams, and that 180 gram vinyl is
the thicker the better, right? The heavier
is what you want. But that used to be used to do those like master recordings, and all that. All the difference was is that they put those on the 180 gram vinyl.
Yep.
Real thick, really nice.
Yeah, the picture discs.
Yeah, but now it's standard.
Yeah,
most release. I thought it's been standard. Is this like a new thing or is this a marketing ploy?
No, it hasn't been standard. I mean, that's the thing. The record clubs back in the day, you
get records, paper thin
get like
records.
14 records for a penny.
Yeah.
And then you'd get them, and they'd be like
floppy as shit. Unfortunately, like Kiss was one of my favorite bands growing up, and I bought Kiss Alive 2.
Right.
4 times.
Yeah.
Because I went to the record store and bought it, and it was so thin and flimsy, it was warped.
Well,
I went it back, I exchanged. They took them back and said, yes, they're warped. And it took 4 times to get a good copy.
There's the whole story about which Billy Joel album was it. There was a Billy Joel album that was apparently like recorded at slightly the wrong speed on the first cut of vinyl that came out.
Yeah.
Like they did it properly on tape, but they just didn't do it right to vinyl in the vinyl process.
Right.
And it was like, great, we got to recut this whole run of vinyls because
the fire.
But there is
Man, he's gone grunge.
and we had a really good friend of mine actually, Jeremiah Rouse, the artist also known as The Quality of Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
And we started a thing a while back, and I'd love to talk with you more because it's something that he actually just asked me about. I'm working a show with him, and he was like, dude, have y'all done any more vinyl nights? And I was like, you know what?
About to.
We haven't.
Are we?
But I have a feeling that we might.
I'm hoping so.
Because that would be sweet. I've been trying to find some really good local stuff to put on the air, talk about. And if we could work out a vinyl night thing where maybe, once every couple months you come in, we talk about some new release vinyl, things like that. We spin it and talk about it.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
I'll get with my people.
Yeah.
And
my people will get with your people.
I'll run it by, there's a lot of things that we have to work out. A lot of things.
Shut your mouth, my people.
My handlers didn't have that.
I want to hear that punk vinyl.
It has to be appropriate.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have to be appropriate. It doesn't have to be appropriate.
21 and up.
This is
motherfucking explicit.
It's 18 and up. Like, you can fucking
I said 21 and up at first. I'm like,
yeah, no. You're only 21 and up if you have to drink. You can get in our bar. bar if you're 18. It's totally cool. We are totally like a BYOB strip club up in here. You can get in at 18. It's all right. You just got to bring your own liquor.
And bring your own pole.
Exactly.
At 18, you got to bring your own liquor. 21, I'll provide it for you.
Exactly.
Also, we're not drinking.
Chris, I love you.
You know what I wanted to iterate with you guys.
Used to
is
be a
that,
youth minister.
Like, I'm hanging out with like a younger crowd than even me right now,
Chris,
and they play
Even he.
punk.
What are you?
And when I go see their shows and stuff,
Corrupted.
I mean, when they talk music, it's like, it's Big Boys, it's Fear, it's the Dead Kennedys, it's
Yeah.
all the old Texas rock and stuff or punk or whatever, and it's that's what they listen to.
What are you?
However, don't they have their own scene that's unbelievable?
Yeah.
That's going on currently in Austin.
Right.
That hardly anybody knows about.
Yeah,
and there's
Yes.
like 20,
That's what I've been telling you.
bands. Oh yeah. It's a great phenomenon.
Yeah.
And these people are totally into hardcore.
Right.
Wow.
And they're 15, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
You gotta
the
get
scene,
them-
that scene is
same
amazing.
appreciation in listening to those same people back, of Texas punk.
They
and
were
that-
influenced by Big Boys and people like that.
We gotta get them
And-
to our shows.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Most
totally.
of them are underage. It's an
A lot of
amazing
them
scene,
are,
and I'm familiar
but
with.
there's a lot that are now, they're just now breaking of age. But I mean,
like I heard
it-
Bill
that-
McCabe's or Bull McCabe's.
Bull
is fucking
McCabe's?
down, and
Bull McCabe.
I heard that was like a
What?
fucking.
whoa, it's
Yeah, no, it's legend.
I didn't know it was.
And so many clubs in Austin, like that, like hole in the wall, just like dodged the bullet not too long ago.
Yeah.
Whenever
we
you're
love
talking
the
about
Hole.
iconic,
Now they're
how can you not love the
We
hole?
love the
they were
hole in the wall.
closing.
We had a regular.
Yeah,
we have a regular show there.
We have a
yeah.
regular
Yeah,
happy
happy
hour
hours.
show there.
nice.
Small
Okay.
stage
Wait,
in
they're
front
not
is
closing?
awesome.
No, not
No, they almost did. They were
They were close.
that chicken's head was on the block, man. It was almost nuggets.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't do that.
What a way to put it.
Well, you can't though. But I mean, it is one of those, like, growing up in Houston and being familiar with the Montrose area and stuff like that. Like I was saying earlier, the whole
Remember Bleak One?
Abyss, Fitzgerald's, those legendary clubs. Like I remember seeing Nirvana at Abyss, Rudyard, stuff like that.
Wow.
And
That was sick.
so many of those clubs are gone now because of the gentrification
Rudyard's still around though, right?
Yeah, that's so.
of that side of town and everything else, and the building of
People
condominiums
just
and
don't go
everything
watch
else.
it. People really do
No.
not go see music like they used to.
They don't.
Right.
They don't.
Because it's
Well,
not.
and
it's-
that's
there's
just it,
nothing,
because-
there's nothing mythical to it at all. I mean, you see it.
Yeah.
You can download. You can do
Right.
whatever.
Right.
There's nothing. It's like,
Well,
Game of Thrones is.
yeah, no, it's like
Yeah,
I was saying
exactly,
earlier.
yeah.
There's the root and then
People
the
go crazy.
consumption of it.
I don't know.
There's
guys.
the
I
there's the
think
root of it and the
Amazing.
consumption.
I go to
Go
a
ahead,
couple
go ahead.
live shows.
people are going to shows.
No,
They
people
might be,
still go to
right.
shows.
You know,
I mean, they're going to. I mean, yeah, I'm not
Not
saying
as
they aren't
much.
going to show, but they aren't like
Yeah,
they
no.
used
What
to.
he's
Right.
saying is
They-
that music consumption is not the way it once was.
Well, it's
But in general as a whole.
Yeah,
Way
when
different.
Blues on the Green,
But
it's
yes.
always packed.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go to just play, like, let's just say local artists,
Right.
are not attended. Like, yeah, every band that you've ever heard of plays this town, and you go and there's like all these people, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. Where are these people?
Like
anytime
people that
else?
go to
Well, people
Blues on the
just don't
Green,
do it.
like to me, they show up because it's like the cool thing to do or something, or
Yeah,
they
I
might not know
heard
who's
that.
playing
I
or
hear
what.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and then like the
Blues on
places
the
I
Green.
go to, like seeing punk bands and stuff, like I did Sunday night, like people fucking like they know like everybody, they know this, they know that,
Yeah.
and they know the Germs, they know the Big Boys, they know
Yeah.
all this still. And it's like, what the fuck? This is like, this is sick,
See,
And, like,
that's the group that we need to connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Because they
you
would
might think
totally,
we're narcs,
and the
though.
place is
let us.
I mean,
the
it's
place
not
is
like,
packed.
hey
The place is
man,
packed.
you're a
Yeah.
fucking cop, right?
That's my other
infiltrating,
A little
my
bit,
other
but
writing
listen
pop.
anyway.
Hello, children. Are we moshing this evening?
So tell me about this.
Yes.
Now, man.
I'd already.
Yeah.
So,
You
how
want-
about those new line of skids that came out? So when are the Jinkos coming out this month, guys?
Like you
But really, those are the guys that we need.
Yeah,
to connect
Exactly.
with.
But I wouldn't
And
be
it's like,
awesome.
how do y'all know about this? Like, y'all freaking like barely 21 or something, or in that
Yeah.
range, and it's like,
See, they would totally love what we're doing.
Yeah, they totally would. That's
and it's mainly because as it's been said numerous times.
Somehow it got picked back up somehow. Somehow it got picked back. And there's this scene, dude, and the club was packed.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Punk never dies.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Other genres come and go. Other genres change. Punk does not die. Even amongst the rest of the bands, like I was saying, or like we were saying earlier, Green Day, 311, Deftones, things like that. I mean, even amongst that, good God, there was some.
Have you heard of Off? I mean, Off.
Well,
is a
not
great
just
band,
that.
and they've been around for a long time.
Offspring. Good God.
Keith
Offspring
Morris,
was friggin' amazing.
Keith Morris,
but
he's done talk about songs.
Ignition,
those are like 38-second songs.
Yeah, no, the first Offspring album was friggin' groundbreaking.
But it's
but even that like verges because the same way that punk merged and became new wave in the early 90s to mid 90s, it became ska.
Right.
All you did was add a horn section to punk, and suddenly you had ska.
And I wouldn't say it became ska.
Right.
No, well, it morphed into it. Like that's where ska's roots.
There was a ska resurgence.
No other place for it.
That's true. Well, I would say that the ska from the 90s was much more punk-oriented than the original ska. Because technically, original ska was really much more like reggaeton and like,
but there were like harder like ska bands even in the 80s.
Well, yeah, but like traditional ska technically is like reggae.
Like the Specials were.
The Specials.
Exactly.
And all of those, the two-tone bands.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fucking late 70s.
But let me say this about music. Music is...
Yeah, none of this matters.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
So let me say this. So it all gives you a feeling, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So when you hear a song, it takes you to a place or a time or somewhere where you have been.
Right.
The Ramones do that for me.
Yep.
And I blast the Ramones all the time. But playing in this band does that for me too. Because we play music that, granted, it wasn't something that I grew up with, but it was the same feeling, and the guys that are in this band are, awesome and awesome players, and it's all about bringing that feeling back.
It's a celebration.
It's euphoric.
So it's almost timeless.
Right.
We're in whatever age groups we're in, but I feel like I'm still 17.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what it's supposed to feel like.
That's what it is.
That's what it's supposed to feel
about.
like. And as we kind of wrap things up this evening, guys, like
no.
Well, I mean, getting ready to.
5:30 a.m. This guy.
5:30 a.m. calls very early, especially when you got a 3-month-old sleeping at home.
I'll play dumb to that.
I think we need another beer, right?
Oh no, we definitely need one more round.
I'm getting one.
I'm not denying
Chris, goddamn it, man.
Nobody is denying the fact that we need another round.
I mean, half the name of it is
I like beer.
Can you give us a?
I like beer.
What's your favorite beer?
I'll take a chug boy there.
Ooh, my favorite beer? Quite honestly?
Don't cut off before I come back.
No. We won't. We won't.
Do
Go.
it.
Ryan says that
I like
we're
the way this.
missing
I'll take that bad
Rancid and
boy.
NoFX.
Nobody likes him. I do.
Yeah, right. No Effects is a good one to call out on that.
He says that we're really missing that. And then also
Put
it out here.
reggae
Somebody
came
wants
before
it.
ska.
Oh,
No,
sure
I'm
thing.
good. Do you?
Miller Lite or
So-
whatever
Ska
Lite
came
that
before
is.
reggae.
Yes, it did.
No.
Yes.
Wait, say
That's
that
what I was
again.
saying. Yeah,
That ska came
before reggae.
before reggae. That reggae was birthed from ska.
That's just from running sound for like reggae bands for years.
Well, there's like the 80s, 90s reggae,
and that's what I'm saying.
In America,
Yeah.
like your Skank and Pickle.
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that band then back in the day that played
Exactly.
Liberty Lunch all the time, and
Yeah.
it was kind of this morph, like even
I think we're
Fishbone.
coming back to
like
stuff.
Yeah,
there was
Fishbone,
that
totally.
kind of
Fishbone,
but the Scatolites were
Yes.
the original ska band, and they were the ones
Yeah.
that started the whole of this kind of almost of a big band sound.
Now, didn't
Well,
They
and
kinda
the
put
Shaken
the-
Pyramids were maybe at that same time.
Didn't
period.
Clash
The
have a
Shaken
little bit
Pyramids
of
were an
ska
early
to it?
80s ska
Clash
band.
Flash did have a little
Say,
ska
that
to
was-
it.
Yeah, well, and
late
that's because that was
70s.
reflective of that
Yeah.
time,
And
they
they
were
did
all
really
around
good at
when the
it, I
riots
thought.
in Brixton happened.
Yeah.
Those were all written songs that
Yeah.
they saw.
You know?
Yeah.
And Paul Simonon grew up in a, I wouldn't call it like maybe a Jamaican part of town.
Yeah.
But basically, he was around calypso music and black music his whole life, and that's really when he started the band, when he was in the band, he didn't know how to play.
Yeah.
But that was the
Like
first
ska
thing.
lines?
But he kind of the first things he was doing was the kind of they're like, what's that?
Yeah, the
He goes,
ska
well,
feel.
I'm playing this
Right.
ska stuff, and they're like, well,
Yeah.
that ain't gonna work.
This land on the 3 music. What's
cool.
that all about?
It's cool when you make it. So
I don't know how to
brings
snap
that to
on
the
a
Clash.
3. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
the class.
Did you figure that out?
Because totally, they had that
Push,
squad
you should
thing
push.
going.
All right.
I still do
I
that
did
every
that too.
time, man.
Hell to the yeah!
Well, let's talk about all of the shows that Raul's Royal Foot has coming up.
Let's do that.
Yes,
Let's do
let's
that.
do.
Pretty
So
easy.
we have an amazing array of shows that are booked between now and March, which is when
On
South
March.
by
That's
Southwest
pretty
Yeah,
comes
that's
along. We've got about
Large
6,
swath.
I like
Large
the way Dan
swath.
pours beer.
So
over
we've got
here.
about 6 shows.
Okay.
Booked. However, it's on a need-to-know basis.
Okay.
So I can't tell you the dates
That's all right.
or the clubs.
I
at
perfectly
this point.
understand that.
However,
They're super
however, Chris,
Presidential
secret
status type
shows.
shit.
I can tell you.
See,
I can tell you that we are going to be playing at South by Southwest 2018
Okay.
at Antone's Records.
Nice.
Antone's?
Nice.
Antone's
Records.
Records.
Yes.
Records.
I used to deliver his mail. I used to work where he lived at the Towers of Town Lake on the lake at one point, and
Nice.
I'd see him every day coming in the morning at about 7:00. After he did his thing, hanging out at Antone's, and I was a concierge type person, and he'd give me the paper, talk, tell me what was going on. Yeah, he was
Cool.
a really good
So,
guy. Really good guy.
official South by Southwest gig?
That's my thing with
Is this an official South by showcase, or is it a proper South by showcase?
It's a
as I
proper
call
one.
it?
It's
Okay.
a proper one.
Good.
And so the guy in the Explosives, which is a band that we tribute,
Mm-hmm.
has been hosting a show at Antone's Records for 15 years
Wow.
during South by, and his name is Freddie Steady Kirch, and he was one of the founding members of the Explosives,
Oh wow.
Whoa,
and
that's dope.
he has asked us
That's cool as shit.
to open up the show.
Nice.
That's great.
That is
Congratulations.
Heck yeah.
dude.
And what is
Congratulations.
what is the
Heard it
date
here
of that?
first, guys.
You already have a date.
Well, it's March like 15th, or
Okay.
whatever it is.
He
Right,
also
right.
has a need to know with us.
It's
and
always
Yeah.
that
and
day.
we don't need
You
to
guys
know
can
yet.
come back on
Yeah.
before
So
that
that's-
and replug it.
Yeah, we'd love to come back.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, no, most
I
definitely.
think it's the Saturday. I don't know the date, but I think it's the Saturday of
South by, yeah,
South
which is
by.
probably like
the
the
date.
15th
I'm not
or
sure.
16th, yeah.
But
Yeah.
But
Totally.
Freddie Steady Kirch is a very well-known musician in Austin
Yep.
who has
Right,
been
right.
playing for decades. Interestingly, as a side note, I went to go see him play at Antone's Records because I live right down the street from it.
Yep.
This past South by Southwest.
Oh wow.
And he saw me in the audience because we had played 2 weeks earlier
Yeah.
at the Hole in the Wall, and he and his wife were there.
Oh wow.
And,
that was awesome.
and he said,
I was
"Hey,
there. I was at that
you were
show.
there."
Oh, really?
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
He said, "Hey, after the first song, interestingly, and my mind was blown. Freddie Steady Kirch, after his first song, playing at Antone's Records, said, I would like to acknowledge a guy in the audience tonight. He plays in a band called Raul's Royal Foot, and they tribute Austin and Texas punk music from 78 to 82.
Nice.
And he said, is that right, Clay? And he pointed to me.
Dope.
And 50 guys in like tie-dyed t-shirts and like Hawaiian shirts turned around and was like, yeah, that guy. And so it was a
Nice.
huge shout out. I
Hell
was
yeah,
like,
that's
Freddie,
awesome.
man, you just made my South by. Thank
That's
you.
great. That's great.
He is the coolest.
Well, that sounds like a hell of a fun showcase.
Yeah.
And one more time, let's go around
I'll
the
be
table. Introduce yourselves, what you do in Raul's Royal Foot,
And where to find us.
and where to
on
find us,
social media.
and where to find everything at the end of it all. So go ahead, Shannon. We'll start with you.
Shannon Ryerson. I play bass and sing in Raul's Royal Foot.
Do you have a Twitter handle?
Dan,
A what?
Twitter.
Are you on Twitter?
Anything you want to give away where people can get to
It should be Ryerson.
you? Google
That's what they chanted in New Mexico.
Google stalk you like I do.
Oh, what a
That's all right.
I got a big
No,
starter
it's
for
okay.
my crew.
Go ahead, Dan.
Dan Ramirez. I play drums. We're at www. Raul's Royal Foot on the web. We also have Twitter at Raul's Royal Foot. Royal Foot, excuse me. A couple of beers already.
Yeah, just a few.
Raul's Royal Foot.
Dudes and beard.
Dudes and beard.
You can also see a lot of the videos on YouTube under Raul's Royal Foot.
Yep.
I post as many as we can.
Yeah.
Nice. Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully
I'm
they'll
a
be
big
moving
Cooper
over to
fan.
Breach.
18, man.
Remind me to tell you last time I saw Alice Cooper.
So this is
Airport.
Go ahead, Clay.
This is Clay Daniel. I'm the founding member of Raul's Royal Foot, and I don't know shit about all that stuff that you guys young people know about. However, I
like
do belong to Chat Bucket page.
Sweet.
I'd love
Face
to like.
Bucket?
Face Bucket. I'm on all of them. I'm on all of those things, and I love to friend photographs. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
So that was Clay Daniel, Raul's Royal Foot, founding member.
Yeah.
I am the Lord Dread. I think it's the Lord Dread everywhere.
Think so, yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
And I
He's
play
badass.
I play guitar.
Badass guitar
I think
player.
they got the Lord Dread.
Awesome.
I believe you're right. And
I forgot.
Yeah?
I'm gonna plug the business here.
oh no, go.
For you to do.
Shamelessly
go to
plug.
flakrecords.biz.
Yes,
Yep.
flat record.
And you can buy LPs.
How do you
there.
spell that?
FLAKRECORDS.
Listen to Ugly 3.
Record swap.
What? So
What about the record swap?
And that's another gig we will have in December. It's December 10th. It's a Sunday at the Carousel Lounge. They open up just for this event.
Cool.
It's the Flak Records record swap, Christmas record swap.
Nice.
We encourage people to bring a record.
Yeah.
You put it under the tree, and then y'all
Get a
just
different record.
Brian, we
This
should go.
is
We
a
have a lot of records.
multi-year phenomenon. How many
Yeah.
years have you
This is going to
hosted
be
that?
the 10th annual.
It's the 10th annual,
Nice.
people.
We sell tickets. It's $10 to get in. The $10 all goes to the capital. Now it's the Central Texas Food Bank. It used to be the capital area food bank for years.
Right.
And so now that's where all the money goes to. We used to have people bring food in the food drive, and it was like, oh God, we got to get this food
Please
somewhere.
do keep in touch with us. We would love
to
to
do
come
that.
out and do a couple of hours of live coverage and stuff like that.
Where you're
Interview
coming.
everybody,
That's
it.
stuff like that.
Raul's Royal Foot.
So-
will be
No, you
playing.
were already there.
We're there.
And
We're there.
Double Dave's Pizza always caters. And
Sweet.
there's all the pizza you
Shout
want
out
to
to
eat.
Double Dave.
And a shout out to Carousel for opening their doors. They're usually closed on Sunday.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And so
it's fantastic.
they've done. It hasn't always been at the Carousel, but this will be the third year at the Carousel.
Great. Well, fantastic. And
like
guys,
that event.
once
That was
again,
awesome.
thank you so much for coming on
Thank
this
you.
evening. It was
guys were
super duper
riot.
fun. We had a great, like
You guys
Steven
were
said,
pumped.
riotous time. Super fun. It was great.
I think we should
Great
just keep
swapping
going.
stories.
I'm all about keeping
We
going.
will definitely have y'all on again soon.
I
I want
do
these
wanna say
guys
one
on.
Go ahead.
Chris, you're the fucking man.
Yeah,
right.
Chris.
Like, seriously, like, I fucking, I wish you the
Don't cheat us,
best,
you
man.
guys.
Like,
Thank you.
no, you're fucking, you're really good, man.
Thank you.
You're doing what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Thank you for-
I'm trying.
Thank you for doing
Let's
Dudes
play
and Beer.
another
It was
song,
fun.
man.
That's just like practice.
So, I don't think we have any
Dan
more.
always wants to
We
play
don't have
songs.
another one queued up,
Yeah, never wants to
unfortunately.
stop.
You guys want to sing
But
one
we
on
can
the
play the same part of
That's
the
an
first
inside
one.
thing.
Play frat cards again. Why not?
Right, yeah, play it again. Play it again. For those who didn't hear
Okay.
before,
All right,
they can
here we
hear it
go.
again.
One more time.
One more time
Frat
for the new
cars.
listeners.
Hey, thank you for all listening.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody. Thank
Rock
you
and
so much
roll.
for tuning in. Thank you so much for continuing to tune into dudesandbeer.com. Please don't forget dudesandbeer.com/live. We also have the new blog. We also have the new cartoon. We have all kinds of new stuff there.
Cartoons?
We have a cartoon strip. It's great.
Scooby?
No, it's even better. Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah, we have
Check this
our
out.
own
When's the
cartoon
last
strip
time
that
you've seen that in
happens.
your
It's
Sunday
fantastic.
paper?
It's called The World According to Congos. And on that note, everybody, please do make sure to check out Raul's Royal Foot online. And until next time, everybody, remember, if you can't be good,
Be good at it.
Yeah. Listen to
Let's
Raul's
get 'em.
Royal Foot. Going on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer Podcast. To listen to our audio streams and chat with us live, download the official Dudes and Beer app for both Android and iDevices, available on the Google Play and iTunes markets. For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the Revolution Digital Group family of podcasts. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.